But let me go ahead and explain that there are other things in Igbo culture that are not the worship of the one true God. There are lots of other things. And I explained earlier that the reason these things are is because the good ones, the good people have abandoned the tradition. And that's why the evil ones penetrated. Okay? Now, another reason that the Alusi worshippers and every other thing thrive in our community is because of colonialism. Brothers and sisters, you need to understand what happened during colonialism. You need to just take a few minutes and read books or just think about what could have happened then. During when the colonial masters were dealing in slave trade, they put a lot of pressure on our community. And when a people go under such intense pressure as the Igbo people, there will be cracks here and there. Even in the Europeans that came here, they wrote it that the Igbo communities were going through intense amount of change. If you read the book that was written by Thomas Barsden, that ridiculous and malicious book, which I don't recommend, but even in that book, he wrote that the communities were going through tremendous amount of change and influence by a lot of tribe and the Europeans. Different communities in Ola Dekono's book, he mentioned that different communities will rise up. They will be incentivized by the Europeans to go and bring slaves for them. And if they don't bring slaves, they themselves will be enslaved. So they will get up and wage war on a different community that have done nothing to them. Brothers turned against brothers, so that they will not enslave their own people. They will wage war on another community and take that community as slave and sell to the Europeans, so that they themselves will not be enslaved. And before these things started happening, the Europeans have already destroyed our Levitical priests. They were the first. They went straight for our place of worship. They destroyed our Levitical priests. And so most communities found themselves without a Levite to protect them. They found themselves without the Levites to call on the Most High for them. So what they did was they went in and brought in Alusi from neighboring communities or from anywhere to protect themselves. This is just, in a nutshell, what happened during colonialism. Okay, that's when Alusi started. One of the things we've been told is that when the Europeans came to Igbo land, they took all our Alusi away. That is not true. As at the time the Europeans were coming here, there were no Alusi. The Igbos were literally practicing the worship of the one true God. It is because of the presence of the Europeans that Igbos started having Alusi for protection. And I've mentioned in a number of my videos that you can literally trace the origin of the Alusi system, of the Alusi in most communities, to neighboring communities. For instance, where I come from in Anambra State, most of these Alusi actually come from Igala. If you go to places like Abia State, most of the Alusi actually come from, like I mentioned in Arochukwu, where they have the Ekbe called. Ekbe is clearly an Ibibio Alusi. You have other ones from the Benin Kingdom and the rest of them. So you can clearly see the origin of this Alusi in some communities, not in all of them. And these things were brought as a means to protect oneself or to kind of have something for slavery, because of the pressure that the Europeans put in our community during slave trade and during the colonial era. Now, let me use a place like Oka in Anambra State as an example. In Oka, there is a deity that is called Imoka. Okay, Imoka is a deity that supposedly protected the Oka people during the time of slavery and during the time of war and everything. But the neighboring communities around Oka, if you go to places like Nibo, Nise, Ifite, Obono, they don't have Imoka. Even Ugwoba, that is supposed to be Ugwoba is supposed to be an ancestral brother of Oka. Ugwoba does not have Imoka or the deity called Imu in their community. So that tells me that Imoka is an Alusi. It's not a worship of the one true God. It is not Udezulibo. The whole Igbo community does not know that. It's something that was brought. If in neighboring to Oka, there's a community called Mbahu. If you go to Mbahu, they have a deity that is called Omaliko. No other community around there have no Omaliko. Nobody else worship Omaliko. Nobody knows it. It's only the Mbahu people. And even the Mbahu people is a particular village in Mbahu and a particular family in Mbahu that attends to Omaliko. So that tells me there that Omaliko is most likely not the worship of the one true God. It is an Alusi. It's something that was brought in Igbo land. So that's how you tell the difference between what is the worship of the one true God and what is Alusi. So that when you come back to Omenani, you know what you're getting into in the first place. But brothers and sisters, I have to say this. For those who want the short answer, I have to say this before you leave. Even if you come back to that Alusi worship, it's still better than Christianity, because Christianity is Alusi worship. And Christianity, believe you me, brothers and sisters, even if you come back to Igbo Omenani and you come back to Alusi worship, it's still better than Christianity. Because Christianity is Alusi worship, and the Alusi you worship in Christianity is more malicious to Igbo people than the Alusi in your village. You cannot be worshipping the God that was used to enslave your ancestors, to rape, pillage, kill, and murder your ancestors. That God that you're worshipping has no interest in you at all. It works for his people, but it doesn't work for you, and it doesn't care about you. There are Igbos today that are more Catholic than the Pope. They will tell you that the Pope represents Jesus Christ, the Pope represents God on earth, that if they see Pope, they have seen God. That is just Alusi worship. How can you worship a God that Pope represents? Meanwhile, the Pope was the one that gave the countries the permission to enslave your ancestors and kill them. People that have done nothing to them. That is that God that the Pope is representing that gave the command that your people who have done nothing should be killed. And you're still worshiping that Pope and that God. Alusi will not do that. So the Alusi is even better than Christianity. I know most of you will not believe this, and that's fine. But that's the truth. The truth hurts. It's not meant for everyone to believe, but it's the truth. So let me walk you through the long answer. I've given the short answer, so most people must have dropped off by now. So let me give the long answer for those who will understand the mysticism. Because there are things in Igbo culture that are not Alusi. So let me give that long answer today for those who want to listen.